welcome to the show. Welcome to Your Thought Life podcast. I am your host, Michael Anderson. Today we're talking about refusing mindset limitations. Yes, we are going to refuse those, but let's set this up so it makes sense. It should be understood very clearly that we have limitations to accept. As an example, I can't do brain surgery because, I'm not a brain surgeon. You may say to yourself, are you going to ask me to do things that don't make sense, that are outside of my control? Absolutely not. And thus, the need for the level set. It should be understood that refusing to set limits doesn't mean that we are being unrealistic. It's not that at all. What we're trying to do is understand that most perceived limitations are mental rather than genuine, bona fide barriers. Our mindset shapes how we perceive challenges, family. Not only challenges, but opportunities and ultimately our potential. Whatever you're thinking about, that's what you're moving toward, if you haven't become it already. So when you refuse to set limits on yourself, you're able to then unlock a world of possibility that was otherwise locked up. When you unleash what has been locked up or release the shackles, you're able to then transform your life into whatever you want it to be. So limiting beliefs are like self-imposed glass ceilings, unseen but painfully real in their ability to hold us back. We don't need anything holding us back coming into this new year. So what we're going to do today is we are going to share with you some strategies that you can deploy ASAP to refuse mindsets that keep you in a very limited scope. What can you do? What can you become? What can you achieve? First, before we consider those possibilities, we have to understand that there is a need for greater personal growth. This decision is going to demand that you spend time with you coming to understand who you are. And you're going to have to challenge your thinking. You're going to have to stretch yourself in ways you haven't stretched yourself before. And you're going to have to build resilience by doing those things that you can, that are small, meaningful, and measurable, celebrating those, using those as momentum to keep you moving forward. Then you're going to have to also begin looking at your degree of creativity. People are always saying that, I don't have that. I wasn't blessed with that. My sister got it. My cousin got it. I don't have that. This is a learned skill set. With all of the tools that we have available to us today with artificial intelligence, it's nothing more than a well-crafted prompt. You can even ask AI how I should ask you for help so that you know exactly how to create your prompt. There isn't any need for us to feel like we felt in time past with respect to creativity. But why do we need it? We've got to think outside of the box, family. We've got to get outside of our comfort zones. We've got to be innovative. And for us to be innovative, we've got to be imaginative. That's where the creativity component comes in. This isn't something that you need to be fearful of. It's not going to change your personality. It will change your identity, but it's only going to make it from where it is to a higher spectrum, to a higher degree that you can function on a higher level. It's all net good. One other thing that I would call to your attention is that if you are going to break free from limitations, we talked about adding personal, professional growth. We talked about unleashing the creativity. We also want to note that there are opportunities out there that have passed us by, we want to begin capitalizing on those opportunities. A limited mindset will not attract new opportunities. A limitless mindset will, on the other hand, attract new possibilities. Why? Because we're willing to take new actions, we're willing to take bold actions, and these things will allow us to broaden our horizon. Broadening your horizon is an absolute good thing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You do not have to remain stagnant anymore for any reason. Why do we set limits for ourselves? Let's back into that. Now that we've seen some encouragement, some things that we can do to sharpen, why do we do this to ourselves? There's a couple of core reasons that I see over and over again playing out in the lives of professionals, and that is fear of failure. When you were coming up in the academic institutions, they gave you letter grades. If you were below a C, you missed the mark and you got dealt with, probably at school and probably at home. You have now baked into your subconscious mind that if you don't hit the mark, you're going to be dealt with. And therein lies fear of failure. There's past experiences also that you have already experienced. They had a negative connotation or overtone, or maybe even outcome. Because this was something that you felt very strongly, the emotional quotient was high, so you felt it and moved it into long-term memory because of the amount of pain, anguish, discomfort, anger, whatever the feeling, it got written. Now it's a part of you. Every time something comes up that looks like it might go the way of this past experience, guess what? Your brain starts to tell you, hey, we've seen this movie before. It can be ugly. Are we sure we want to do this? I don't know. We should probably find a way out. Before you know it, you're in that cycle of thinking about things past, and what's in front of you is totally forsaken. That's another reason why the limiting thoughts degrade our opportunity to be innovative, because our body comes in and says, I got to protect you. Don't do this. You could hurt yourself. I want you to think about your comfort zone, how important that is to you and why that is important to you. We naturally gravitate toward what we feel is safe and familiar. That keeps the brain happy because it's like, okay, I don't got to go back in the past and pull anything forward. I don't got to be thinking about the future too much and getting all bent out of shape about that. Let's just keep everything status quo day after day. And therein is a cycle, a pattern of living that makes us feel stuck. We don't want that. It's going to be necessary for us to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, at least in small measure, until we get, again, comfortable with becoming uncomfortable, and we can begin to compound that discomfort, or in this case, the comfort of discomfort. Finally, I want you to think about this, because this one is really sneaky. There are societal and cultural conditionings that are taking place every single day with ads, with social media, with how we feel about ourselves, our identity, and how that sometimes collides with what we're seeing in all of these various places where stuff is being thrown at us repetitively to get it into our subconscious. You may see it also within the family construct. You may see it with different peer groups or in certain social gatherings. And the bottom line is, when you are faced with these societal and cultural conditionings, you have to be of a higher level of awareness to know that these things are taking place. If your level of awareness is not high enough where you can note that these things are taking place and they are causing you to think, feel, and act differently, then you've got to raise your level of awareness. to combat this social and cultural conditioning, I want you to make the decision on what you feel is realistic, what you feel is possible, and how you are going to submit to some inner beliefs that you have carefully thought through and considered why you want them to be a part of your makeup. Because at the end of the day, fear of failure, past experiences, comparisons, and not being in your comfort zone, and even societal and cultural conditioning, all of these things lead to a fixed mindset. They keep you the exact same. That is a perpetual cycle that you get to be a part of subconsciously that keeps your mindset in a very limited condition. And you cannot do what it is you desire to do with a limited mindset. But what steps can you take to catch yourself when you're setting limited beliefs? Pause and acknowledge. Recognize that the limiting beliefs are coming from within. Recognize that the limiting beliefs are without judgment. And know that your awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle. If you don't know how to become self-aware, you can scroll through our catalog. We've talked about it forward, backward, up, down, sideways, and meditation is the core. You can begin to also challenge your beliefs. Ask yourself for proof. When your brain and your mind and your mindset starts to really get active and is really causing you to feel like this is something you shouldn't do, just go within and go, based on the facts, you all, this is you talking to you, based on the facts, why are you telling me this? And sit quietly and listen. If it's the regurgitation of the same old thing, the old feeling, the old experience, the I'm not enough, you just have to know that, hey, that's a protective mechanism kicking in. There won't be any evidence. And if there's no evidence, there's no reason for you to submit. Then when you have these things take place, there's something else you can also do, and you can reframe what it is that's going on. And you can begin to say things like, hey, I'm going to replace that thought with one that is empowering. So you take disempowering and you replace it with empowering. You take negative thoughts and you turn them into positive thoughts. At a bare minimum, if you're young in the process, you take the negative and you move it to neutral, that the sting is taken out, and that will give you the opportunity to turn this thing around. I can't do it is not an option. I don't have the wherewithal is not a good reason. All of these things can be overcome with just a little bit of research. I also would like you to practice new skills. Well, what's that mean in the context of refusing limited beliefs? That's a great question. I want to break that down for you real quick. You start with manageable challenges, because these manageable challenges, they build your confidence. They prove to you that you can do it. You are enough. And you have everything that is necessary. And once you see that for yourself, then you can begin to talk back at a greater degree than you ever have before. The ability for you to have confidence in your capabilities and your abilities comes way high. And when you have that, you have what it takes to go the distance. Most certainly, if you're not doing life with like-minded people who have similar goals, aspirations, and dreams, then you should consider partnering with a mastermind group, right? Some sort of online entity, maybe even a meetup group where you can get with certain people that are doing life like this, that you can feed off of, that you can begin to trust over time after you verify that they too want the best for themselves and they are not critical and harsh when they come to your aid or as they even speak to themselves. It is important for us to refuse negative limitations, mindset limitations, and anything that puts us in or keeps us in the same state, in that fixed mindset, and doesn't allow us to move into the growth mindset space where all the beauty, where all of the glory, and where all of the cool stuff happens. That's in the growth mindset. As you get ready to endorse this information within and embrace it and act on it, I want you to just know that by recognizing the barriers that we self-create, family, and by challenging them, we're taking the actions that are needed for us to grow and to unlock our full potential so that we have the courage and confidence to move forward, to get the things done that are most important to us. I trust that this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Feel free to connect with us on Linktree. The link is available in the show notes. And I've told you once, and I'll tell you again, you are enough. You can do it. You are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. And until next time, take care and keep pushing forward.